Have you ever wished you could do a realistic photo shoot, maybe put you in a bunch of different areas, but you thought, man, I don't have the time or the money to pay a photographer, to go to the beach, to go to the woods, to go to the cabin, to go to the wherever and get all the photos you need? I've been there too. In fact, I just got asked this morning to create some new photos for some of the speaking that I'm doing, to put inside my speaker pack for one of the event organizers I'm working with. And I decided it was time to actually have that photo shoot. But of course, I don't have the time necessarily to go all the places that I want. So I thought, you know what? Let's use AI. And I trained a Flux LoRA. I'm going to explain a little bit about that process. And I'm going to show you literally how I use a combination of Chatgpt, a Flux, a LoRA trained model to create images that I can use in my promotional materials. I'm also going to show you along the way that not every image turns out as you want, and that's part of what you need to do in setting your expectation. So let's go ahead and dive on in, and we're going to make kind of a working session here, and I'm going to show you how I do this in real time, so to speak. All right, so as I mentioned, I need to create some new photos of myself that I can use. Upcoming in April, I'm speaking at the Scale with Stability Summit, and I'm actually really excited. I'm actually running an entire day of an AI track teaching businesses how to leverage AI in their business, and I'm really excited about this. And you can see this is an actual headshot that I had taken. They put it on a new background, looks fine. We've even used an AI image right here, updated background, and it looks pretty good, and nothing wrong with any of that. But those are really the only photos we've got. And while I've given them a couple more, they said, hey, we'd really like to have some more photos for promotional materials. And I get that, and I appreciate it, because you can see there's a lot of people that I'm going to be speaking with here. And if I can find the speakers, there we go. There's going to be people here like Kevin Harrington and Willie Robertson and Jimmy Darts and Gary Chapman, and some of them have probably got a lot more photos than I do. And so how do I manage to do this? How do I meet the needs that we've got for new images to be created for Scale with Stability, and candidly ones that I should have anyway? How do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go over and use a tool called Flux, F-L-U-X, and we're going to use it on what's called a trained LoRA. I've got other videos on how to do that, so I'm not going to go a whole lot into how we train a LoRA, but I'm going to show you from a practical perspective, once it's trained, what do we do? Well, the first thing we want to do is I want to go over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to use what I call Felix. It's a custom GPT that I've created. If you want a copy, I'll put a link down below. You're welcome to give this. I'll give it to you for free. But just going to communicate with Felix. Felix, by the way, creates AI image prompts, and that's what it's designed to do. But more than that, I can get some advice from it. So let's start off with Felix. I need a series of business promotional photos that I can use in my marketing as a speaker on AI and AI prompting. Can you give me some ideas of the types of photos that I should create, and ask me any questions? By the way, that last part's really important. You always want to ask for that when you're asking things, because maybe I didn't give it enough relevant information. In this case, not a big surprise, I didn't. So Felix responds and says, hey, let's brainstorm and refine your concept to create a compelling set of business promotional photos. To get started, could you clarify a few things? One, tone and style, the setting, your appearance, your audience, your mood, your message, and any must-haves. So I took a moment and I responded and said, I want creative and visionary. Yes, I know I misspelled a few things, but AI is smart. It figured it out. I want creative and visionary, casual and approachable. I prefer photos that look more realistic versus studio shots. I wanted professional and realistic, such as those listed in item number 2. That was things like, conference stage, office, boardroom versus futuristic and tech. I don't want to go too crazy. And then I said, I want standing and speaking, and asked, who's my target audience? It's all the people they listed, but mainly entrepreneurs in general. I found that most of the people I speak to, even if they're not technically what would be an entrepreneur, they consider themselves such. And then we talked about what types of mood or message: confidence, authority, inspiration, but approachable at the same time. And any must-haves, no, I didn't have it. And so I said, great. And now what it does, this is why I love Felix. It's created 5 prompts for me. So you can see I've got 5 different prompts we can try. We can have it create more, but let's start with number 1. So I've went ahead and copied this. Let's go ahead and copy and paste it. And we're going to go over to Flux. Again, that's F-L-U-X. So I am in here. I've already started on this when I decided to record it. So we'll go ahead and come back to this in just a second. Let me save a couple of these that aren't too bad that I might actually be able to use. And then I'm going to show you how we did this. So I use Flux. Flux, by the way, is a downloadable model, so it's not the type of thing you can go to flux.com and run. If you find a site like that, stay away. It's not it. You actually want to find Flux by going to a site called blackforestlabs.ai. This is the company that makes Flux. And if you want to see how to get it, you can click here and you can find different ways that you can get these tools that are available. That was probably not the one I needed, but you can see right here, here's a list of where you can go. These little icons down here. I happen to use a company called FAL.ai to do this. There are other options, but I really like FAL and how it works. So that's what I'm going to be demonstrating for you today. So I'm going to go here, we're going to go to Explore, and then I'm going to be able to pick the model that I want. And the one I want here is the Flux LoRA Fast Training, because I've already trained a model on how to do this. Now, as I've shared, I've done a separate video on how to do this. But when I come here, you're going to see I have now my training history, and I have this, or I can create a new Flux LoRA. I don't want to create a new one. I want to use my old one. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click Run Inference. That's really important. You have to click that in order to load that model in. And you'll see when I do that here, now all of a sudden it gives me my prompt, which happened to be my trigger word, which is Jonathan J. Mast. So I have trained this on about 30 images of myself that I've uploaded. It's analyzed, it's processed, and now I can use that term, Jonathan J. Mast, and it will go ahead and use this. The cool thing is you can try this, but it won't work because you don't have access to the same Flux LoRA. It's private only to me. So I don't have to worry about anybody else using it, but it will work for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that prompt. So we have our prompt from Felix, copy paste. Let's move on over, and it's important, I have to leave in my trigger word. So I'm going to say as a, and I'm going to just paste in that prompt. So it added another A in here. So as a confident AI expert, standing on the small outdoor stage in a scenic town, squarely, casually dressed, but professional, speaking passionately to a crowd of engaged entrepreneurs, vibrant banners and AI-related graphics in the background, warm natural colors, approachable, inspiring, realistic photography style. Sounds good. Now, I want to make a couple changes here. So first, I want to click on the More settings. By the way, in this model, you're paying every time you use it, so I don't pay a subscription. I just deposit money. You can see I've got up here in the corner $52.69 here. We're going to spend a few dollars today to do this, but it's a whole lot cheaper than a photo shoot. So let's go ahead and scroll down. There's a couple different things. I leave everything pretty much the way it is, except for the number of images. I upped to 4. I'm impatient. I don't like to do one at a time. And on the guidance scale, something I talk about in my Flux LoRA training video, I'm going to move this to between 8 and 10 as I find I get really good results in there. That guidance scale is basically how creative it can get and how much it needs to stick to where I'm at. If you stick somewhere in the middle, it tends to work out pretty good. I could go to 9.5 or 10. That won't make a lot of difference. We'll do it for 10 for right here. So there we go. And then I want to select my output format. I'm going to choose PNG. It's just a slightly higher quality file. So let's go ahead and do this. We ready? And we're going to press run. Now, while we do this, I'm going to move my picture over here to the other side. Flux is going to think, and it's going to deduct from my $52.69. It's charging me, by the way, 3.5 cents per megapixel. And each of these images might be a couple megapixels, so it might cost me 7 cents or so. And we can see what's here. So let's just take a look at these real quick and see if we like any of them. By the way, first lesson. Not every image this creates is going to be worth keeping. Just accept that. That's part of what comes along with creating AI images. So this one's not bad, but it definitely looks like I'm missized. In other words, I don't seem to be fitting into that crowd, so I don't like that. But it looks a fair bit like me, so that's not problematic. Let's take a look at this one here. Better, but again, not really my beard. Again, I could probably get away with it, but it definitely isn't my beard, so we're going to pass on that one too. Let's take a look at this one. Again, closer, but the beard's not quite right, so maybe we want to deal with that. Notice also, by the way, spelling, you're not going to get spelling right generally, sometimes, but not regularly. So on these signs back here, if you needed those to be spelled properly, have things on it, you'd want to go into Photoshop or Canva and add that later. So we're going to cancel this one. Let's take a look at this one here real quick. Not bad. You know, my thumbs actually look good. Everything looks reasonable. I'm going to save that one and use it so I can just download that one. So you may go, Jonathan, that's only 1 in 4. What do you mean? Actually, that's pretty good. I throw away a lot of these. But I'm going to make a couple of changes to the prompt up here because of some of the things that I'm seeing. So a couple of things I'm seeing. One, my beard's not quite long enough in most of these. Doesn't reflect who I am. So I'm going to go up here. Jonathan J. Mast is a confident AI expert. And we're going to add in here with get my fingers on the right keyboards, with a long white beard, standing on a small outdoor. So we'll just do that and let's run it and see what happens. So again, we can take a look here. I had $56.69 or something like that. I don't know, $52. It cost me, that last one cost me about 15 cents to run those 4 images. So about 4 cents a piece in that case. Based upon the model you're using, it will change how that works. All right, I can take a look at these right now and see there's a couple of these that are not really going to be me. That's not quite how my body works, and I don't have the best body. I don't wear tight shirts, so I'm not going to download that one. This one maybe, but it's candidly, I'm a little bit bigger guy than that. The headshot might work, so we'll download that one and use it as a headshot. I've got this one over here. That's not bad with my arms crossed. And this one here, probably not exactly the look I'm looking for, so I'll pass on that one. So let's go ahead and try one more. And you may say, Jonathan, why are we running these? Well, notice every time we run these, we're getting different images. And that's really typical. It's important to understand you're not going to get a consistent image across the board. So you want to be able to run these and pick the ones that you like. Yes, I'm going to be spending 15, 16 cents for this every time I do it. But again, much less expensive than doing a photo shoot. All right, so let's take a look and see if we like any of these. I don't particularly like that look. This one doesn't look too bad. Let's take a quick look. Yeah, not bad. I'm not a small guy, so that definitely looks pretty reasonable, all things considered. We'll download that one. And this one looks pretty good, but candidly, it's probably a lot thinner than me. Yeah, I'm not that thin. So I'm probably not going to use that one. I'll download it just in case, but it's not really accurate. So we want to do that. So we've got a couple. I want to try a couple more. I kind of like the setting. I like where it's at. Let's try a couple a little more. I'm going to go ahead here, and when we say AI expert, I'm going to say as a stocky framed confident AI speaker, because I'm a big guy. I'm not a little guy. So let's go ahead and see if we can make some sense of that. Notice I'm just going to make some small tweaks, and I'm only making one tweak at a time to the prompt, and then I'm running it again to try it out. The reason I do that is if I make 4 changes and something either works or doesn't work, I'm not necessarily sure why, so I want to make some changes to that. These look actually like we're getting pretty good. This one's not bad. I don't mind that. This one's definitely a possibility, as is this one here. Now that top one, I don't have long hair like that. Let's go take a quick look at it. It's pretty good. My hair is not that long. The face and stuff isn't bad. I could get in and Photoshop it and things like that, but that is definitely not my hairstyle. So again, I'm probably not going to do that. I may save that one as a blooper. So we will save it here. And what am I going to do? I'm going to run it again. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about changing some of the guidance scale. I was at 10. Let's drop it down to 8, and let's just see if we notice any difference. That is going to have some impact on what we're doing here. Isn't going to dramatically change things, but it will definitely make some changes. So I'm curious, we're at $52.13. Let's see how much this really cost us, because I may have been off a little bit on my estimations there. So let's see, we've got some images in here. This one actually looks pretty good. That definitely could pass for me. Again, the shirt's off a little bit, but that's all right. So I'm going to save this one. And this one here I can see is pretty decent. Those other two, I'm definitely skinnier there than I am in real life, so I'm not going to use that. Can't tell on this one. Yeah, that one looks too fake to me. I don't like that, so we're not going to use that. So I was at 52 something. Again, it looks like it's costing me, yeah, just over 15 cents. It just dropped down to $51.99. So again, definitely a little bit cost. Let's run this one more time. I think I like that 10 a little bit better. Let's go bump it back up to 10. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bump it way up just to show you. Let's bump it up to 16-ish. We'll run one, and then I'll bump it down to like a 2, and we'll share that, just so you guys can get a feel. So what's happening here at 16 is it's going to tell the training to stick closer to the models that I uploaded. So in theory, it should look more like me. But one of the things I find happens when this does that is the photos tend to look a bit less realistic, and I often get more, and these are looking pretty good, but I often get more plasticky skin. Let's take a look. You can see here, there's a good example. My skin's just a little too perfect. My skin doesn't look that great. So again, we can use that. It's passable, but again, it's not necessarily perfect. I'm going to go ahead and save these down here just so we've got those. But you will notice when we do these do reflect my beard better and everything else. You've even got the curls and the waviness and all that. So pretty good, but my skin's just a little too, in my mind, a little too plasticky. Looks candidly like it's been photoshopped. So let's go ahead and let's drop this down. Let's drop it down to 2, and let's run it, see what happens at 2. This gives the model the ability to be more creative, and we're going to see things that still kind of resemble me, but probably not as closely as we did on the others. The good news is things like skin tones, and that should be better. you'll see hopefully when we go through this why it is that I like going somewhere in the middle. It tends to be a pretty good compromise, but you'll want to play around with this for yourself and figure out what makes the most sense for you. Notice each one of these generations, and kind of creating 4 images, is taking about 12 to 15 seconds. So you just have to expect that going in. Let's take a look here a minute. So here's one, looks like my beard's definitely longer in this case than it is. Yep, definitely longer, but again, it's not terrible. It's actually reasonably close, all things considered. But you can see my skin doesn't look nearly as plasticky here. I don't know if that's a word, so I'll actually use that one. That's not bad. This one looks like it's a possibility. And this one, it made me maybe even bigger than I am in real life. Yeah, probably just, I used to weigh that much about a year and a half ago. Don't so much anymore, so I'll save that one, or I'll pass on that one. So we went through a number of them. Let's go ahead and set this back in the middle, kind of where I like it, right around 10. Now I'm going to go back to Chatgpt. That, mind you, we have 5 prompts. We've only used 1. So we made a couple changes. We probably got out of that. We spent a couple dollars, and I got maybe a half dozen or so images, maybe a few more than that I can use. We're going to go up and we're going to replace the whole thing. But before we press go, we've missed something. You know what it was? I need to add my trigger word, in this case, Jonathan J. Mast, at the beginning, because if I don't have that there, it won't know to reference that. So let's go ahead and do this, and we'll see what these images look like. Again, different prompt. In this case, we're talking about standing on a beachfront podium. So last time we were in kind of a downtown city square. This one's got me at sunrise. I probably won't like that, but we'll see and take a look at what we've got. So definitely interesting as we do this. Let's take a look at any of these are any good. Probably not where I'm going to go a lot. So definitely not my beard. I'm not talking to a robot, but it's an interesting concept nonetheless. Kind of fun. You get to see what's up there. So not my favorite due to lighting and everything else. I'm going to probably not reuse this one just because I want to get better lighting. So let's go ahead, instead of trying, by the way, be okay with that. We can create more prompts. So if you find one that doesn't work, don't try to make it work. Just go, nah, that wasn't right. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that. We'll paste back in the next one, and let's see what we get here. Mind you, because I asked the AI, it's given me entirely different situations to put me in. I might not have thought of a beachfront stage or a downtown little city square stage. So these are all really cool ways to come up with some great ideas. And obviously it just takes some time to play around. Now this is really zoomed out. I can tell you already that doesn't look like me, and I don't like the lighting. I could try to make a couple changes. So let's go ahead and try that really quick as a stocky framed. Again, I'm not a small guy, visionary, AI expert, and I'm going to say with a long white beard. A lot of times I have noticed that Flux will give me a much shorter beard. I'll move the mic out of the way. You can see I've got a much longer beard, and so sometimes it doesn't show that, and I like to do that. And I think it's way too dark. So I'm going to try to take a look here through and see if I can identify why it's giving me such a dark look. I don't really need the holographic projection, so we're going to get rid of that. And we've got soft natural lighting, inviting atmosphere high. So instead of soft natural lighting, I'm going to put in here bright and well lit natural lighting. It's probably a little bit duplicative, but that's all right. Let's try that and see. Now I broke a cardinal rule here. I make a couple of changes, but for sake of expediency here, I want to do that. I also know, by the way, and you'll learn this as well, adding stocky framed and long white beard tend to get the model closer to looking like me. You'll identify some of those things over time as well. And it looks like we may have gotten a little bit closer. Let's take a look at this one here. Not perfect, but passable. Now here's where it gets funny, and you'll notice this. This is a great example. So this is supposedly me, but take a look at this guy. That kind of looks like me. The back of that head looks like me. This kind of looks like me. Everybody is not exactly like me, but most of the images in here, those people, it's like I'm talking to a bunch of bad clones or something like that. Same thing here. If I open this one up, you're going to see that same thing. All of a sudden I'm talking to a bunch of bearded men with not a lot of hair. Pay attention to that in your photos, because that will happen sometimes. And in this case, when it does, it's probably just not the right prompt. So let's go back to Chatgpt. We're on 3. Let's go to 4. Grab that. Notice I'm not bringing over the negative styles. I can do that, but it doesn't necessarily change the image a lot. I'll do that for this one, and I'll show you a comparison. So again, let's go ahead and put this back up at the beginning. Make sure I've got my trigger word in there. I've forgotten that more than once, by the way, and it's not going to look like me if I don't put my trigger word in. I don't tend to try to edit the prompts at first when I get them. I just run them and see what's going to happen. Again, a lot of times I can quickly determine whether I want to then be making changes. I hope you're seeing those as we go through this. We can do some pretty amazing things, but a couple key things. One, not every one of these is perfect. Far, far from it. Ooh, now this is kind of interesting. I kind of like the billboard. I like what it's coming up with. Let's take a look at this one. I like a couple of those, but that's definitely not really looking like me. So, doesn't look like all the people, though, look like me either, which is cool. So let's go back in here and let's try to do this. A stocky framed, bearded, we'll just try bearded in this case, motivational speaker, and we'll run that one. Now I'm going to go back while this is thinking, and I'm going to grab this whole thing so we can throw it in there. By the way, you don't need main and negative. I'm just going to leave, I guess I could. But we'll do it that way. We'll grab the whole thing just so I can show you how that works. Now we've got a few that are getting a little bit closer, though. Let's take a look. That one's actually not too bad. I mean, it's kind of like I'm talking to a bunch of people that aren't there, so the angle is definitely wrong. Let's see if we got this. Crowds, that happen sometimes. Not really me, but we could maybe try to pull that one out. I don't think that's real good. We'll pull that into the failure. Let's take a look at this one. Definitely a little bit closer to me, definitely a little bit more accurate. Again, notice the words on the screen. They're not anywhere near accurate. Those are going to need to be photoshopped. That's just the reality. And let's take a look at this last one real quick. Again, the beard's not quite right, but it's definitely got a lot of other things going. And again, possibly we might be able to use that or in some fashion. Again, I've got a team that can help Photoshop some of these too. So if we get close, I'm probably going to run with it. Let's go ahead and grab the whole prompt that I put in, including the negatives. And remind you, I got to go back in and I got to add in my trigger word. If I don't have that in there, it's not going to work well. So we're going to add in stocky, framed, long white beard as a, there we go. Boom. Let's see what we get. Now, keep in mind, this time I've thrown literally just copy and pasted that prompt over directly from Felix in my Chatgpt. Again, if you want Felix, just check down in the comments. There'll be a link. You can get that for free, as well as 2 other image prompt tools that I use. Key is these create prompts. They don't create the images. All right, let's take a quick look and see what we've got here. Better. This is actually possibly passable. So we'll go ahead and download this one. And let's download the next one here. Definitely much longer beard at this point, so I'm not going to use that one. My beard's not that big. Kind of cool otherwise. I like the image. This one's a little bit closer, so we'll go ahead and grab that one and use it. Looks a little fake with the TV in there, but that's all right. We're having some fun here. And let's go here. Again, probably not quite right, but potential. Maybe with some Photoshop work, we'll download it. So you can see those are some different images. Again, not loving those. I really like the first one the best, so let's try another one. Again, we'll copy the whole thing over just because. And again, I want to encourage you, have fun with these, play with these. Don't go, oh my goodness, I didn't get what I wanted, it didn't work. No, just work at it, play with it. Let's see, as a stocky, framed, confident AI expert. We'll make this more natural language with a long white beard. And let's see what happens. Run. This time it looks like it's throwing me in a coffee shop this time. And let's see what we get. Again, this is part of creating AI images. And before you get frustrated and go, Jonathan, this is simply taking too much time. How much time would it take me to go out and actually run, get ready for a photo shoot, go to the photo shoot, wait for everything? That could take a long time. In this case, it's not taking me that long and not costing me any more than probably a coffee. Now there's one that might work. I'm a little bit thinner there, but it's passable, but we've got a problem. You notice what the problem is? Yeah, all these guys got white beards and glasses just like I do. I don't know why it does that sometimes. It's annoying. We're just going to throw that one out there. Let's see if we can figure out from the crowd, because like this one wasn't as bad, but I don't know, I like it. Again, I don't think I look good in that one. I've got kind of this stare of doom in my face. I don't like that. So we'll get rid of that one. We won't use it. But let's see if we can identify anything in the prompt. So stocky frame, confident AI expert with a long white beard in an urban coffee shop with large windows, standing near a table, giving a casual presentation to a group of entrepreneurs, a sleek tablet glowing. I'll get rid of that. We don't want the tablet in there because I think that's causing some issues. Sometimes it's hard to highlight what you want, so then we'll just do it with the cursor the old-fashioned way. There we go. Friendly interactions, natural light pouring in, realistic photo aesthetic, warm and collaborative. I'm going to get rid of the warm part because I think that's changing the lighting a little bit more than I like. So let's go ahead and try that and see if we like it. Drum roll. I need some Jeopardy music or something here while we're thinking. But again, I'm hoping you can see that we're going to be creating different views here, different things. This is a process. It's not perfection. We can't put in one prompt and get the perfect image. Never, ever happens. Now we're getting a couple that might be usable. Let's take a look at this one. That's actually not too bad. Not awesome, but not bad. We'll take that one. This one here looks like it's got some potential as well. This one, I don't like the way I'm looking. This one, I'm talking to a bunch of guys with beards again. So what are we going to do? We're getting close. I like a couple of these. Let's go ahead and run it again and see what we get. We're going to just do a quick check. We've spent a little over $3 so far. Again, less than a Starbucks coffee at this point in time. Too long a beard. This one looks pretty good. This one, possible use. We'll have to see. But you know what? I need a few more images. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go up and I'm going to reprompt this. There's a couple ways I can do it. To keep it simple, I'm just going to go back up to answer where I answered the questions here. I'm going to click on the pencil icon and I'm going to just re-click and press send again. It's going to then erase everything that it had created for me. There we can go. You can see it's gone. And it's going to create 5 new prompts for me that we can use. And we'll run through these a little bit quicker this time. But again, I want to remind you, this is an iterative process. This is how we work through things and how we get things to where we want. I tend to, again, avoid the negative prompt just to make it easy. Let's go ahead and pull that in. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. That's just the way the tool works. So let's go back up here in the beginning. Jonathan J. Mast. It would help if I spelled it right. You got to spell it right or the system won't know what you're doing. As a confident speaker with a long white beard. And we're just going to add the word stocky framed in here. I know those, again, for me, I've done enough of these. I know those are generally going to make a difference. I'm going to go into my settings here. Yeah, we're still at 10. That's good. Let's run and see what we get here. And again, as you can see, I could iterate on this for hours if I wanted to. Don't have that much time, but even in the time that we've spent on this, I've made some really good progress and we've been able to very quickly get some images that I can use in my marketing and or that could be edited real quickly. So I see this one I can tell is decent enough. This one's decent enough, and that one's decent enough. I'm going to try one more of these because this got me pretty good. Let's see where we're at. Again, out of expediency, I'm not going to open all these up. You'll see them on my social media, so you'll know whether or not I'm using them. But we'll do that. While that's thinking, I'm going to go grab my other prompt here. There we go. And we'll run each one of these real quick and see how they do. If I like them, I'm going to run them a few times. And if I don't, we're going to skip. I kind of like these. These are not too bad. So again, we're just going to grab a couple of these. I'm actually getting some pretty usable images out of these. And let's go ahead and now go back and fix this one. So target or trigger word. Again, we know that stocky framed vision works well. And then I'm going to add with a long white beard because we know from my testing and what you're seeing here, that tends to get us closer. So I'm just going to add that right at the beginning to avoid any problems. And let's see what happens. And there's always a little bit of weight, but, and again, some of these are going to be in the eye of the beholder. You're going to decide some look better than others. But as you're moving forward, this is a great way to do it. While this is thinking, this is also a great way, if you've got other characters you need to create or do, you can do that same type of thing. Again, I'll just go ahead and do these. I'm not a real big fan of my hands looking towards the screen, so I'm not going to do that one again. We'll go down to prompt number 3. But if I've got other characters that I'm creating or things like that, I can go ahead and I can do the same thing there, where I can literally upload and train a LoRA on what it is that I want. And so it doesn't have to be me in this case. I mean, it could be a product that you have. It could be it could be a family member. It could even be a cartoon character. I mean, if we'd created Mickey Mouse, we could upload Mickey Mouse and it would then replicate that much better. So let's add in again, stocky framed speaker with a long white beard. And oops, don't want to press enter. There we go. Let's run that and see what we got. And hopefully you can see from here, we're narrowing in, we're finding ones that work. If you find one that works well, by the way, feel free to save that prompt. You can always go back. They also save your history under requests here. You can always go back at any point in time and see what you've done. I've got a couple in here that are not too bad. I'm not saying I love all these. I'm not a real big fan of having the laptop there. Doesn't really look particularly like me with the guys in the background. So let's go right into the next one. We'll take a look at this one here. Scroll down. Grab that. We only got one more to go, but let's take a look. Let's finish the process and make sure we're getting where we want to go. And we'll add again, stocky framed professional with a long white beard. And you can add other things, like that last image we looked at. I was wearing a shirt that I'd never wear. I don't wear that type of shirt. I could change it to say, a short sleeve polo, or maybe throw me in a blue blazer or a plaid blazer, or for that matter, a winter coat. And it would put those in. So this time it did a blue blazer. Well, I kind of like these. These are not bad. We're going to go ahead and save a couple of these. These are definitely decent. These are good enough. I'm going to run it once again, just because, again, you find one that you like and it kind of resonates with you, run it again, save a couple more photos out of it. Feel free to save those prompts as well, because you can always come back in here, paste that back in at any point in time, and you'll get similar ones. I could also go ahead and I could play around and change some of these a little bit. So, this guy's too thin. That's more like me. That's pretty good. So let's just come in here, give you an example. So we're talking a scenic venue, modern venue, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking rolling green hills. Let's just put overlooking a wooded forest. And that's the only thing you can change. You can change one thing at a time, not 4, because then you're not going to know what's happened. But I can change one thing here, and hopefully we'll see that now everything will be similar, but you're going to see a forest or trees through the woods or through the windows instead of necessarily those kind of green fields that it had. And sure enough, we have some of that. These didn't turn out as good as I want, but we can see there's definitely more trees in the back. Let's go ahead and try one more here real quick to see if we can get something that I like. And then notice here I've got like a tailored blazer. It says with no tie. I could do that. I could it put on a navy blazer. Maybe I want to do something neat. In fact, I'm going to call out, I don't know how many of you guys know Matt Plapp. Matt Plapp's a great restaurant marketer that I've known for years, and Matt's into orange. So let's say we're going to try to act like Matt here. I'll download a couple of these that could work out. And Matt loves orange, so we're just going to change from a tailored blazer to a tailored orange blazer. Now, this is probably not one I'm going to use, but that's all right. I want to show you how you can get in and make simple changes and have a lot of fun. And if I want to say, not only do I know Matt Plapp, but I look like Matt Plapp. No, I don't. Matt's in better shape than I do. But I can at least put on, I dress like Matt Plapp, and I can have the coat. So let's take a look. And boom, just like that, I've now got this orange blazer in place. A couple of these even aren't too bad. I'm not saying I love the orange part, but let's take a look. I mean, could be worse. Could definitely be worse in an orange blazer. So I can have lots of different fun with that. We can even go one more if you want to have fun. We'll call it a Hawaiian. Just do, if I spell Hawaiian right, I don't know if I am. Say shirt. So we won't do Hawaiian blazer. And we'll get rid of the tailored part. Hawaiian. I think I'm spelling that wrong. That's maybe right. There we go. Let's try. So now we're going to get rid of the blazer, and we're going to put me in a Hawaiian shirt. I probably should have changed forest to beach in the background. We'll do that for our final one here as we wrap up this video and share with you how that can look. So we're going to let it finish, and then I'll change from wooded forest. But notice, just like that, I'm now in a Hawaiian shirt. Not bad, actually. I like some of those. And so let's overlooking a wooded forest, let's say a Gulf Coast beach. I live down near the Gulf Coast, so let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to just say vibrant Hawaiian shirt. That's probably going to make sure that I get something that's bright. But let's find out here in a minute. Notice now through the windows, we should see the beach, and we should have a vibrant colored shirt on my body. Let's see how this works. And again, this is where you can start having fun. You get a prompt that's turning the way you want. Start creating different versions of it. So I still didn't get super vibrant, but I definitely got the beach in the background. We can see that. We'll download a couple of these. These are not great. Let's try one more here. I'm not a huge fan of those. Let's see what we get. Drum roll, please. What prompt was I on there? I was 4. We'll do 5. We'll finish up with 5, and then we'll call it a day here. But you can see how, we've spent about a half hour creating these images, putting them in place. But I've got a lot of images here that I may be able to use over time, and that's really cool. That's what I want to have happen. So we want to be able to create this. And as much as your mind can dream, you can think up other solutions. I'm trying to come up with just kind of speaker photos. So these are probably a little bit boring, but I'm hoping as we go through this, you can understand, let me see, as a stocky framed speaker with a long white beard. Hoping you can understand that this is an iterative process, and probably most importantly, it's not one that's going to give you perfection every time. You need to accept that some of these images are going to be great, some of them far less than. So I've spent a lot of time going through because I wanted to demonstrate with you the process that I think you should expect to go through as you're creating these types of images. So we've got a couple of them here that aren't too bad. We'll just grab those really quickly, maybe be able to use them. Let's do one more. I don't like the lighting here, so it's near a tranquil lake at midday. Dressing a group of hand-drawn, confident, approachable, innovation, nature, photorealistic, glowing morning light. We'll just say afternoon light. No mist rising off the lake. We'll get rid of that. So I'm making more changes, but that's because I want to just get this in here. Let's go in, and I think that was number 5. That was number 5. This will be our last run, unless it's really good. Maybe I'll do one more. These are not planned out. Let's see where we're at. Then we'll take a look at the time we've spent and the overall amount of money we've spent to create these images. Oh, I actually really like these. These look pretty good. So we've got the in the background, we've got the images. I'll grab a couple of these. We may be able to lose them. They're not all me. Let's see. Did I get a stock? Oh, I had a stock frame instead of a stocky framed. Because I like these, I am going to run this again, even though I said I was going to be done. I like this one. When you find one, run it a couple times. It's okay. So we're total right now. We have spent a total of about $5, it looks like, on all of this that we've done. Not too bad. Again, probably less than what your local Starbucks coffee is going to cost. And we did it sitting at our desk without ever leaving and creating some really great images that we'll be able to use, at least I'll be able to use for some of my speaking engagements and have some of that in place. So just like that, it's done. It's easy. Oh, by the way, if you want to add a blazer, can we do that? Sure, we can do that. Business casual. We've got chinos, button-up shirt, and a navy blazer. No tie. I don't like ties. Let's go ahead and run that. I could even add a baseball cap like I'm often known for wearing, but we'll leave that off for right now. And let's see what we get here. So again, I want to experiment. Don't feel that, oh man, that prompt didn't work, I've got to just start over from scratch. Maybe if it wasn't even close, but if you got close like this one, then add some parameters in there, play with it to get where you like and find out what you've got. You may find some things that are really good. Oops, I don't need that. There we go. Definitely got a couple of these that I think would be pretty usable. Let's find out here a minute and take a look. Not perfect, but you know what? My thumb's off here a little bit. That's not terrible. And let's take a look at one more here that I think might be decent. You know, again, decent, and they don't all look like the back side of me. So these are things that can be used, and again, you may see some of these being used as we do this out. Hope this has been helpful. I hope this video has been helpful to help you realize, one, how you can use Flux and a trained LoRA model to help create some really amazing photos. I also hope it's helped set your expectations that not every photo you create is going to be worth keeping. Some of them, in fact, they're total misses, and that's just part of the process. The great news is that it allows you to create amazing marketing image, or just fun images for that matter, in very low cost in just moments. And I hope this has been helpful. I'd love to hear your questions though about training of Flux LoRA, about how to use it, anything related to that, my prompt tools. Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your questions and provide you some follow-up answers. Make it a great day.